What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to T3G. My name is Dollywood, and today we're reviewing the Canvas 360 Lite.
Whatever it is that you do the damn thing.
Now we're going to be recording in two different directions just to try to get a whole perfectly balanced view of everything that's going on. But let's, as we always do, go over the hardware first. Now the package I got has the base, which is surprisingly very hefty. I honestly was expecting it to be hollow and just like full of sand or something, but no, it's got a very, very hefty metal plate on the bottom and a nice wooden like fake veneer kind of thing at the top. Solid, like good, like unless, I mean, I got a yank on it, obviously. It's not, I'm not like utilizing the thing, but like pretty solid for what it is. Gives you a pretty good base to work with. I will say for the price, I'm glad that they also included the clamp, which will adjust to any standard tabletop. The arm is pretty fully adjustable. It has the adjustment little screws on the side here. Pretty standard. If you've got a microphone, you probably got this arm too. It's pretty much the same arm. I really can't find any difference except for the cable that runs through it that controls the light, which is going to be a pretty standard connection. We've seen this on a couple of the lights I've reviewed before, and it has pretty standard settings: tungsten, daylight, and 10 different brightness settings. Now the actual light is pretty small as far as lights go, which is not always my favorite because it tends to be a pretty like hefty, singular, small light source, which can cast really harsh shadows, but it really depends on what you're doing, of course. And then inside of that light, we have their proprietary patented 360 adjustable arm here with the kind of, I don't know what to call it, but it's like a screw tightening mechanism, and that allows you to set this thing in any direction that you want to. I will say right out the gate, it is not as simple or easy as they make it out to be in the commercials, right? I mean, just look at it here, right? I feel like they just move the thing, right? And that's fine, right? But here's me trying to like adjust it, and it like catches. And see, it just catches inside of the actual ring, which wouldn't necessarily be a problem if it was like smooth to, like, let's say if it had like a, the first time I used it, I thought it was like a natural stop. I'm like, oh, cool. So you don't like wrench the mechanism or whatever that's using, but it's much simpler than that. It's not some sort of preset track or anything. It's just like sandwiched pieces. So you have this plastic piece, and that's why it's used for tightening. And you can actually see this in the ads that they show, that they do go underneath and tighten this to kind of keep it in place, which is fine, but I feel like it's not really like advertised that way. It's really meant to, it seems to be advertised as more of like an easy to adjust thing. And I will say it's not quite as simple as they make it out to be in the videos. I think compared to some of the other lights we've shown, this definitely has a benefit in that it has adjustments on the actual arm. So stiffness and rigidity is based on how you adjust it, right? Once you set it, it's not going to be flopping around. It's not going to be sagging because you just decide to have it not do that, right? Once it's tight, like this, like I got to really push this thing. Whereas like nothing really happened, right? It's not like dropping. It's not sagging down because that's just how it's designed, right? You have actual tension points that you can adjust, as opposed to some of the other light stands and all-in-one solutions that we've discussed that we will not bring up at this time. Overall, I think it's pretty solid, honestly. As far as accessories go, I really like it. You have a pretty good reach. I mean, even with this thing at 90 degrees, so I'm out here with this, right? I'm pretty far out here. Let's see. Like, I will say, like, there is still something to be said about counterweight, right? At 90 degrees, I am getting a little precariousness. However, if you are going to be getting more in the kind of, I don't want to say radical range, but a little more in the longer range of reach, it does come with the post base, which will allow you to put it wherever you want, and it's not going to tip over. So it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. It's not just this thing that can and will eventually get counterbalanced out of position. You also get the clamp, which will make life easier in a different situation. Now, I will say this is the second time that I'm making this video, because the first time around, I really kind of went in on this thing And then as I was looking at it and I was looking at their marketing material, I realized it really wasn't justified. I really kind of just went in and was like, oh, like, why isn't this as easy as they show it to be? But like, they do show that you got to tighten this thing underneath, right? And that's just, I didn't catch that the first time around. When I saw the ads, I didn't see them adjust this thing underneath. Now, do I think this is still not the best design? Sure. But I think they're considering that, and they're already talking about, on their website, they're talking about a version 2.0. Now, what I would like in version 2.0 is two things changed that I think will help this entire situation. First, the foam clamp on here, which is pretty solid and made of aluminum, which I appreciate. Always aluminum everything. I think we've talked about this many times. It is attached to the inside mount point by way of a rubber gasket. And the problem with that is that it's never quite tight. You can actually over tighten past the depth of the mount, and then you could potentially be scratching your phone with the screw. I think a measured like plastic or metal, preferably metal, washer there will do wonders for this. The rubber washer, not really the way to go. In the same way, the rubber inside gasket or washer, whatever, it's really rather large to be called a washer, but the inside ring that separates the body and the actual inside mechanism is also rubber, which I think causes a lot of these like hang-ups when you're trying to adjust this, because it's just these three things, right, that make this unique. And this is rubber, and I don't understand it. Because I honestly think even if I were just to get rid of the rubber, yeah, so like this can be tightened all the way. And if you just had something like a piece of, like a plastic, the same thing, just in plastic, maybe a little bit thinner so that you can tighten this all the way and just have maneuverability. Like right now I have perfect maneuverability. Now obviously it's loose, like it doesn't have the same kind of appeal, but like once it's set, who cares? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really matter. Like once it's in position, it doesn't really matter. Now for transparency's sake, I do want to point out two things. First, when I first saw the ads for this and when I saw the people in the comments asking me to review this, I absolutely went to Amazon and Alibaba and honestly pretty much everywhere to try to find the same thing cheaper because it is a pretty hefty price point. Couldn't find it. And that tells me two things. That tells me that this patent that they have on here is a real patent and that they probably make at least this portion stateside. And there is something to be said about national pride. Like Americans are doing these jobs, and that's appreciated. The other thing that I want to bring up is that I did contact them to get a free one, but they basically said, hey, we have so many people that are interested. We're only working with people who have one already, but here's a 10% off coupon. And then a buddy of mine was like, hey, it's kind of a generic coupon. If you put that and just change the number, maybe you can get more. Try with 30 or 20, you know? So I did end up getting 15% off. They didn't intend that, obviously, but I only have so much money, and again, this thing's very expensive, so I'll take any discount I can get. Now, as far as the quality and review, the arm is, I was not joking, the arm is literally every microphone arm that you've had. It's the same exact mechanics, it's the same exact materials. I will say the springs are a little better, a little thicker material, so they're quiet. Like downstairs, it would be creak, creak, creak. I don't know what the sound is, right? But anyway, the like stretching of the metal. It's the cheap metal, and you hear every contraction and expansion of the metal. Whereas this, like I've literally just sat here while watching things and just played around with this, and it hasn't worn down. I really appreciate that. It's a little addition, right? It's a little bit better. So, you know, the arm probably cost them $3, but these probably bumped it up to $5 to $7 on that, right? I'm guessing at these numbers. I don't know what these things actually cost. I will tell you, this don't cost no damn $60. This is the thing that really ticked me off. Like I wanted to test it with this because I was like, oh yeah, the base thing, whatever, I can get the base one for cheaper. It's like a $60 difference, right? This is a $180 set with the clamp base. It's a $120 set. This is not no $60 damn dollars. Like, granted, steel has gone up, so like metal is more expensive. I mean, but this is something you can order from China. It's just a piece of metal. It's just a piece of metal that you then bolt into like a faux wood, probably like a piece of MDF. Although maybe even, no, I feel like this Is it? Maybe it is real wood, but let's give it the benefit of the doubt and say this is some kind of real wood, maybe like a pine or something, right? So it's a piece of wood and a piece of metal, both which you can order from China, and then this is, I'm sure, not a proprietary like screw down point. So like all of this whole thing can be ordered from China from $7. Just saying, it's not no damn $60. That's the thing that really pissed me off. And I was like, I'm gonna get it because I want to review it with that, because that's like a big selling point for people, and that's a big thing that they advertise. But I was real mad about it, let me tell you. The reality of it is the majority of this, including the base, including the clamp, including the arm, the majority of this, pretty cheap to make. US patents cost money, so there's that. Right, you file a patent, that costs money. US production, because you guarantee you if this was not produced in the US, I would have been able to find a cheaper version on Amazon or Alibaba or AliExpress or somewhere. I looked, believe me. So this is US production. So I will say this probably has a heftier cost to it. Now, again, the light itself, the LED ring, the control system, that's all from other things. So that's also probably all from China. Maybe not the actual light ring, but the actual light inside and the electronics, those are definitely the same as the little light ring that I reviewed, as the big light ring that I reviewed. It's the same exact controller, right? It's the same exact buttons, it's the same exact features, 10 steps. Like, that's why I'm not even talking about the lights. The cost of the actual light is negligent, but this like the mechanical of this is probably where the cost is, but I just don't believe it to be that high of a cost. Now, are they pulling a Tesla? Like, are they like, hey, version 1 is going to be expensive, like geared towards the more niche crowd that has a little extra money, and then when we go to V2 it'll be $80, and when we go to V3, by the time we hit V4, this whole setup will be $30 and it'll be a budget product. Maybe. It's possible, because that's honestly the only way I could see something like this as a long-term product, as a line of products, survive. Especially when you got people like me out here on the mission to show people cheaper options than this, right? This is an exception in my world. I did this for y'all. I don't need this damn thing. I buy $30 lights, $60 if I'm just truly impressed. But like, my favorite light was $60. Like, I don't spend $120 for lights. Like, $120 for lights, I would expect options. 2 lights, multiple color modes, like 2K21s. You could light an entire room with 2K21 lights. You can't light an entire room with this. Like, you don't have RGB, you don't have all these other options. Like, it's not the same, right? So I don't spend this much money for me. I don't need this thing. I'm going to try to find a use for it just so it doesn't collect dust, because, I mean, maybe I'll try to sell it. I don't know if someone will want to buy this, especially not for the price I'd want for it, which is what I paid. Is this a buy? I mean, for me, from my perspective, from the perspective of this channel, it's going to be a no for me, dog. Like, the $180 price tag, it just doesn't make sense for anyone doing this on a budget. Check out my other videos on lights for budget lighting options. You could assemble with light, you could assemble a multi-arm tack form setup that would let you do literally anything you wanted for the amount of money. God, you probably get 3 arms, multiple attachments. Like, you could get a lot from tack form for the price of this thing. And that's not just because I love tack form and that's my boy, but like, that's just the truth. And tack form is like premium. Like, tack form is premium stuff. Like, I'm under no illusions that tack form fits into the like ultra budget stuff that I talk about. It is very much the premium level of mounting solutions. There's no question about that, but that's why I like it, because that one $60 expenditure will make sure that I don't have to deal with it, right? That one $80 mount is going to make sure that this thing's going to stay where is going to make sure that whatever I put on it is going to stay where it is until I want to move it. I have a tack form suction cup that's been on my car for literally 3 years. It's never fallen. That's worth it. This doesn't have that kind of longevity. I can't set that, right? Even if I like tighten everything down the way I want to, right? I mean, like right here, we'll do it on camera, right? We'll set it up. So let's say I'm doing top-down shoots, maybe, I don't know, maybe for my comic book stuff, right? For my comic book content, I want to do top-down shots of my unboxing of Kickstarters, right? Boom, I'm going to tighten it. That's tight. And I'm going to crank this bad boy down, right? So let's pretend this is where I want it to be. Whoops. Whoops. You know what I'm saying? $180, and I just damaged myself trying to tighten this down. Still moves. So my point is, for $180, I should have a little more guarantee about the like positioning long term, right? I get it if it's just like a short shot, quick thing, but if it's like, if I'm shooting for 20 minutes, if I'm an artist, let's say, right? And I want to draw, I want to top down my drawing. If I pick up my arm too fast, I don't want to have to move this out of position. And now, oh man, to get continuity, I gotta, where was this thing, right? Where here, I gotta really, and like, you're gonna see that in the final product. You're gonna see that it's not in the same place it was. Whereas if I had it with a tack form arm, I might bruise my hand, but the camera's not moving nowhere. Like, that's what I'm saying is this is not worth the $180 for me. With the clamp, like for sure, this is not worth the $60, without question. I will say, if you're considering it, the $120 for the clamp version, still kind of high, man. Still kind of high. Like if this whole joint, if this was the cost of the around 80 bucks, let's say, I might have a little more play. Don't get me wrong, that's what, like a $40 difference? It's not huge. It's not a lot of money, but it's enough money. $40, that's another light. That's a couple lights. That's a different mount, right? You want to have a little more freedom on this, it's a different mount. You want to have something that fits better, like this thing's, I mean, it's an aluminum mount, right? It's nice, but even this is just a slab phone in a hard shell case, but it doesn't fit. So what if I want to put a tag form tomahawk on there? If this is 80 bucks, maybe I got 40 bucks to spend on a tomahawk. I'm just saying, this has the potential to be a really, really good piece of equipment for someone who is especially shooting with phones. If it was 80 bucks, I think I would even recommend it. Because it's like, right, for 60, granted, I have a lot of options here, but it's just this. I don't have a way to like, I think it comes with a tripod. So it's like, I can mount this, but I can't mount a phone on it. So for like the $20, yeah, I'm losing RGB, but I can mount this phone on it, right? So if this was 80 bucks, it would absolutely be a recommend. At 120, like once you cross into the $100 territory, I have expectations, and this just doesn't hit those. That's going to be it for this one. That's all I've got to say on the subject at this time. If you have any questions about the canvas, please let me know. I'm not getting rid of it unless someone tried to buy it off me for the 160 bucks that I spent on it, 167 or whatever with tax. But most likely I'm not getting rid of this. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to put it through its paces in any fashion that you want me to. If you have any other questions or if you have any other suggestions of what I should review, drop those in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Oh yeah, Happy New Year. First video back.